This is the Xiaomi Mi 10 Lite. It is one of the lowest cost smartphones with 5G compatibility that you can buy today. Is it worth it? Should you buy the Mi 10 Lite? And is the 5G compatibility really a honest deal maker? I've spent the last 2 weeks using the phone to answer all the questions you may have on the Xiaomi Mi 10 5G. By the end of this review, you should be able to decide whether the Mi 10 Lite is a good device for you. What's up guys, I'm the Unnamed Review Guy, and I've tested many low-cost phones. Despite the occasional flop, most of them I really like. The Mi 10 Lite is certainly no exception. Now before we get started, Xiaomi did send this device over to me for a review, but like always, all opinions in this video are my own. The device not only comes in at around $350 to $400, but also provides 5G compatible networks. We will talk a little bit more about the price and why it is a range, as well as the 5G support a little bit later. Let's run down the specs in the Mi 10 Lite. Now specs don't always matter, and the Mi 10 Lite isn't packing any crazy flagship killer features, but sometimes they do help gauge what the expectations of a device should be. The Mi 10 Lite includes Qualcomm's Snapdragon 765G. For those who don't understand specs, this is one of Qualcomm's mid-range processors, meaning it's not quite as fast as one you might find on the Samsung Galaxy S20 series or the LG V60, at least on paper. I've tried many phones with the 765 this year, such as the TCL 10 Pro, and have yet to find one with a bad daily performance. The gaming performance might not be as good as some of the higher range devices, especially those that are specifically made for gaming, such as Xiaomi's Black Shark or Nubia's Red Magic, but it will be able to play games just fine. The 765, in my opinion, has really worked well on devices that I have used, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them on some flagship devices. Are you Team 765 or are you 865 or nothing? Let me know in the poll above. The Mi 10 Lite also includes 64, 128, or 256GB storage options with either 6 or 8GB of RAM. While 64GB of storage is acceptable for a lower cost phone, I would totally recommend picking up the 128GB model, as this phone does not have an SD card slot for expandable storage. The phone is running Xiaomi's MIUI 11, which is based on Android 10, and as Xiaomi proudly displays on the box, this phone has Google Apps on it, unlike one of Xiaomi's fellow Chinese OEMs. Taking a look at the display on the Mi 10 Lite, we see a 6.57-inch AMOLED display with a 1080 by 2400 resolution. This moderately large display is covered by Corning's Gorilla Glass 5, which should be strong enough to survive most drops from about 5 feet. Something that you may have noticed is that unlike the Mi 10 and Mi 10 Pro, this device does not have a curved screen. While I personally like curved screens, this isn't a drawback to the device. In fact, to many, this is probably a plus. The device is HDR10 certified, and it looks quite good. It has high enough brightness to handle environments with bright sunlight, and that is expected with an AMOLED display. It also features an in-display fingerprint sensor, which has been pretty snappy throughout my use of the phone. Also, it comes with a pre-installed screen protector, which is always a plus. The camera system on the Mi 10 Lite might look familiar, but familiar isn't always bad. The square design, first seen on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro series phones in 2018, has caught on like crazy over the past year. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that many other OEMs, especially the ones in China, hadn't picked up on this format earlier. When done right, it can look quite clean, and in my opinion, Xiaomi pulled it off with the Mi 10 Lite, at least with the exception of the 48 megapixel text on the bottom of the camera module. Next time, maybe don't do this. The lens featured in this device includes a 48 megapixel standard lens, an 8 megapixel wide angle lens, a 2 megapixel macro lens, and lastly a 2 megapixel depth lens. These lenses together have taken some pretty good pictures. The saturation is pushed up quite a bit on outdoor shots. I'll leave some example images that I've taken here so you can form an opinion on the camera, since many things like saturation and color correctness can differ depending on the viewer. The cameras are capable of 4K recording at 60 frames per second, which is not limited to any amount of time. Overall, all of the pictures on this device were perfectly usable, especially when considering this is a budget device. The selfie camera is a decent 16 megapixel standard lens that is capable of 1080p video at 30 frames per second. The design on this phone is fairly standard, but not bad for a device in this price range. This is where I'm going to have to make a correction to my initial impressions video. If you haven't checked that out, you can check it out here. Anyway, I had the initial impression that the back of this phone was plastic, which isn't bad and actually has quite a few benefits, but a few people did correct me, and I reached out to Xiaomi, who confirmed that it is Gorilla Glass 5. After using the device for some more time, I can tell that it is definitely Gorilla Glass, or at least glass of some kind, on the back of this device. The phone is not very thin, but also not very thick. It has a nice curved back, which makes it feel very comfortable in your hand. Thankfully, the phone is thick enough to contain not only a headphone jack, but also an IR blaster. I feel like I'm seeing these quite a bit more now, which is never a bad thing. You should be able to control a TV or any other appliance that uses an IR remote with this phone. The back of the device includes some Xiaomi branding near the bottom, and my review unit includes regulatory labels, though it does not appear that every model will. The device comes in 3 very nice colors, including the black one that I have here. It's not really like a black color, it's like a different shine, like kind of a grayish color, depending on how you hold it in a light. It looks really good, but it also comes in some nice gradient colors as well. So if you're interested in any of these 3 colors, I actually really like the blue one myself. Some of the cool features on this device include a notification light. It's kind of built into the top earpiece, but it is a nice addition considering that many phones have removed this, like back when they removed bezels. This phone is also equipped with a dual SIM card slot, which is not rare, but it is nice to see, though it is disappointing that Xiaomi forego the SD card slot on this device. The phone also comes with a free case in the box, which is always nice to see, though of course not very rare on these Chinese phones. Finally, let's talk about 5G on this device. You may be confused as to why I care more about 5G on this phone than I did with the LG V60, which I reviewed a few days ago. My opinion on 5G has not changed in the past few days, nor has the relevance of 5G to you. Now, I am simply impressed that this phone is offering 5G at a lower price, and since the phone justifies its price point without the 5G, it's a nice addition, especially if you're planning to keep this phone for long term. Now, this phone is an international phone with a few different models, so it's best to check yourself to make sure the model you are buying has the correct bands for your local 5G networks. But for those in the United States, I would recommend steering clear of buying this phone or any phone for 5G connectivity, since stuff seems to be ever changing here. And this phone will not support Verizon's millimeter wave network, or matter of fact, it won't support any Verizon service, so if you're a Verizon customer, this one is one to skip. Let me know if 5G is an important feature to you in the description below. Also, I'd love to hear who has actually tried 5G and what kind of 5G was it. Just comment down below. I'll be reading through some of these comments. I'm very interested to see who has actually gotten their hands on some 5G. So, you can get this phone on a few different websites, but if you want to buy it officially internationally, you can pick it up on Alibaba through the Xiaomi official store, which I'll leave a link to down in the description. The phone is currently on sale for $349 to $379 depending on which model you buy, but normally it retails for around $370 to $240 depending on which place you purchase it from. For the price, it looks and feels and performs like a pretty solid phone and one that I can definitely recommend. If you're not sure yet or want to check out more phones first, I have a playlist of phones that I have checked out so far in 2020, as well as phones that I have taken a look at over the past few years, if you think you might be interested in an older device. While taking a look at some of the other reviews, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. This much appreciated action can help you stay up to date with all my reviews and first impressions videos, as well as specific features, tips, and tricks videos that I routinely post on my channel. I hope this video helped you get one step closer to your new device. Thanks for watching.